All praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bashem, Yahushai Bashem, Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders that rule and teach well. Peace and salutations to the brothers and the four corners of this earth, pushing this word in truth and in sincerity. But I'm not to Zach here with another short video. Alright. This is basically going into what's going on with the economy with the states right now. Is that? Alright. But I posted the article in the group chat. You know, the impromptu. So, shouldn't be too long. We'll see how it reads. Well, this is a part of the prophecy. Right? Prophecies, rather, at the end times as well. Right? The money feeling them. The gold and silver is conquered. Conquered mean what? Decaying, rusting. Alright? We'll get a precept later on. Because the precept will come to mind when I think about the article. Nobody else. It says $56 trillion national debt leading to the spiraling crisis. Budget watching warns the US is walking a crumbling path. Right, it says the United States is rapidly accelerating toward a definitive tipping point in its financial history, the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget wrote in response to the latest 10-year outlook from the Congressional Budget Office. The non-partisan budget watchdog issued a stark assessment. The current trajectory of borrowing, which is running at double the 50-year historical average, is simply mathematically unsustainable. Right, so the dollar is basically unsustainable. They can't pay back what they're borrowing right now, that's what they're saying. And they're borrowing money because funding was expensive. Right. It says the CRFB cautioned that without immediate legislative intervention, the federal government faces a future defined by exploding interest costs, insolvent trust funds, and national debt burden that will shatter post-World War II records within 4 years. It amounts to a report card for the Trump administration's first year back in office, potentially its last truly impactful year of President Donald Trump's return term. So, okay. If midterm elections swing either or both of the House and Senate to Democrats, the CBO updated its projections to account for the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, OBBBA, Trump's tariff regime, changes in immigration and other factors. With debt approaching record levels, interest costs exploding, trust funds approaching insolvency, meaning fully liquidated or dissolved rather. Right? And deficits expected to remain more than twice as large as the oft discussed 3% of GDP target. The CRFB argued lawmakers should come together and select to enact significant deficit reduction. Alright, so the numbers breaking records and breaking the bank. According to the new CBO projections, the federal debt held by the public is on track to reach a record 120% of gross domestic product by 2036 in share dollars terms. The pile of money owed by the government is projected under the CBO's baseline scenario to balloon from nearly 31 trillion today to a staggering 56 over the next decade. That's almost double. Right? That is well 5 trillion shy, well 6 trillion shy at double the exact number it is today. And it's trillions we're talking about. We long gone past billions, right? The speed of this accumulation is unprecedented in peacetime. The CRFB notes that the debt held by the public currently hovers around 100% of GDP, which is already roughly double the 50-year historical average. Under the current baseline, federal debt is set to surpass the all-time record of 106% of GDP, set in the aftermath of World War II by fiscal year 2030. So what they're saying is the debt owed by the citizens is exactly the amount the country does make, the GDP, the gross domestic output, right? Wow. Wow. Look at that. All right. That is the American dream. I think I could end the article there because that's too much standards, but I gotta send it there for now, right? Because it basically it's just basically the same shit we was already talking about, you know? Could bring on this one too. Sirach, Salakia, Ecclesiastes 12 and 3. It says, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out of the window be darkened. Right? If you go into the word of kindness, you would find the word housekeeper. Right? So that is what it really means there in the city in the day, so like when the keepers of the house or the housekeepers shall tremble. And the budgeters, the economists are trembling right now. You know what I mean? The foresight that they have for the future for the country. They're saying, hey, this is definitely unsustainable, and this is the I don't want to say the entire reason, but this is a big part of the reason as well why they want to do it. Go from paper to digital. You know what I mean? From physical to digital rather. Yeah, I like that too. From physical to digital. Right? This is why they want to make that leap, that jump, and they're bringing it all across ever so aggressively. You know? I think it's James. Yeah, let's switch that. I think I remember it. About so. Uh, James 5 and 2. It says, your riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth eaten. Your gold and silver is cankered, and the rest of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. Ye have heaped treasure together for the last days. Right? And imagine that white will be a witness even against you. Look at freaking that. You know? Your riches are corrupted because when you think about it, how the country get the riches? Think about that, like one and two. This is a country with how much billionaires does the US have? How many billionaires do they have living in the country that are citizens of their country? The first to come to mind, Bezos and Trump lapdog, what you call him? Musk. Bezos and Musk is the first to come to my mind. Now thinking about Gates, not to mention him. You know what I mean? They just three off the top. These are people that, studies have shown if even if they give every person on earth $1 million, they will still be the richest men on earth. But yet the country that they're residing in isn't that. How is these things possible? How are these things possible? How are these things done? This kind of way. Because I corrupted it, it can't fucking stand, it can't work. They just say it rigged, fucking corrupted. Right? I did a little search earlier on here. Because I did peruse through the article, mind you, earlier on, and let's take a little skim through. Right? I asked Google what happens when a country is in too much debt. And there's the AI overview. It says, when a country accumulates excessive debt, it faces severe economic consequences, including slower growth, high inflation, increased taxes, and reduced funding for public services. A debt crisis can trigger investor panic, currency devaluation, bank runs, and in extreme cases, default, leading to widespread poverty and income scenarios. Political instability. Key consequence of excessive national debt include economic stagnation, there is little to no growth, inflation and currency devaluation, money which should higher invest interest rates, right? So that mean right now I think our loan is about 3% in Trinidad and Tobago. That is like roughly the I mean if you go to a loan in the bank it might be about 15 to 50 fucking percent probably. I don't know. Right? It's a reduced public services, so they're talking about the healthcare is free school. I don't think the healthcare free over there anyway. Right? Look how it's saying here, healthcare infrastructure and education, hurting citizens' quality of life. Right? But yet they want to fight war and fund wars and send, arms and ammunition to other countries to fight war. The least that the flag will draw them out. Jeremiah 49. Right? It says default and financial crisis. Well, default is what I want to know, but it says if a country cannot repay its debts, it may default, leading to a loss of international trust. Oh, okay, bank failures and deep economic recession. I mean, I know nobody will bank or whatever, IMF, wherever they are borrowing the money from will not no longer loan to them. This is one of the other reasons they need. This is one of the main reasons as well. It's necessary that they what change from a physical to a digital system. It says increased taxes. Governments may increase taxes on individuals and businesses to generate revenue for debt servicing. And this is what will cause the major separation between the rich and the poor. Because poor people will no longer be able to afford the commodities they currently do. The goods and services, the everyday goods and services, they will no longer to buy. Be able to purchase things like, all right, let me, for example, we take a big coffee chinko, coffee is a big thing, right? The Starbucks, just for example, Starbucks might be fucking $20 a cup, $20 a cup, depending on your mix or your match, whatever the fuck is, dude. I don't know, I don't care. Right, just roughly, estimated. It might reach to $20 a drink, a coffee, a latte, a cappuccino, whatever, what have you. Now, 20 US is roughly about 140, 150 TT. That is fucking $150 for a cup of coffee. That's ludicrous. That is what that is, fucking ludicrous. You know what I mean? So the poor will no longer be able to enjoy a nice, fancy little, a tasty cup of coffee. Only the rich, the millionaires and billionaires, so on and so forth, but right? Which will also be a potential to spark what civil unrest. You know, when the two classes are completely separate, when there's no longer any middle class. This is the eradication of it. Watching before we eyes here, right? It says ultimately too much debt can cause a hollowing out of the economy, forcing governments to make difficult choices between taxing citizens further or cutting essential services. Right? And that is the weightiness of what America is going through. And that is the weightiness of what you could expect to see if they last them couple years. You know what I mean? If they stand until 2036 and more than likely apparatus are they switch to that digital system soon. Bring it on down, man. Bring it on down. She'll be coming around the mountain when she comes and we can't wait for it to come. We being the man of the Lord. We can't wait to get out of this place. We can't wait for this place to burn. Hey, every prophecy is just a step closer, so that is why we don't worry when speaking about these things, or speaking the way we speak when we read articles concerning these things, we expect and we there's a certain joy is there when you see things like this happening. It's frightening, but it's joyful because we know the end of this kingdom is the beginning of Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Shai's kingdom. You know what I mean? Which pertaining to the promises is also ours, and we cannot wait. We cannot wait. All right. So I hope the video was edifying. I hope it was, you know what I mean? I hope it's back food for thought. I'm gonna be Akim. Until next time, shalom.